to start off. I want to start this lesson off by giving all praises, honors, and glories due to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Dash. I would like to give double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach you all. And last but not least, I would like to give my blessings and salutations out there to the elect. I took this screenshot from the Brother GMS Ancient Wine. This is the video right here. Yeah, I wanted to go ahead and do a response to this comment, right? I'll go ahead and read it here. It says, been watching a lot of BHI versus Christian debates lately. And I must say it's damaging my faith. Part of me knows they're full of lies, but part of me gets scared that there is some truth to it and that I can't be saved because my father is white. Now, there's a lot of misconceptions, right, with the whole Hebrew Israelite thing. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and explain a few of them. We preach that salvation, we go into salvation, right? Let's go to, I'm in Acts 5. That's a good one. This is Acts 5, verse. But before I get that precept, I have to explain this first. We preach that salvation comes to Israel, right? And the Israelites today will look like the so-called Negroes, right? And it's better if I get a chart too. We type in Chippewa tribe chart. Great Millstone. Yep. So we got the Southern Kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Negroes, West Indians, Haitians. And then for the Northern Kingdom, you got Dominicans, Guatemalans, Panamanians, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, North American Indians, Seminole Indians, Argentinians, Chileans, Colombians, Uruguayans, Mexicans. So we preach that the Israelites today will look like these people from these different regions of America, right? Negroid and Indian descent. But there's also a caveat to it that because of the dispersion, all right, we're talking about pre-Columbus, we're talking about going back towards, the Dark Ages, even before then, that our people will be in pockets, different pockets of areas of the world, different pockets of the world today. You have some of our people in Turkey, some of our people in Greece. I was looking up Grecian names, and I was thinking about Greece. I'm like, I probably lived there in my past life, to be thinking about a Grecian name. But you have our people that are in pockets all over the world, right? And in those sections of the world, let me get this, a little sanctuary. This is Ezekiel 11, verse 6. It says, therefore say, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, right? So they've been dispersed into these different pockets of the world, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come. And it's a little because you have a bigger population of Israelites in Turkey, but the elect are going to come out of Turkey is going to be a small number. So that's why it's called the little sanctuary. And the reason why I'm saying that is because this individual here is afraid, right? Because he thinks he can't be saved because his father is white. Now, you do have Israelites that look white, right? I wouldn't go as far as to say, um, what was I going to say? Let me rephrase that. I would say that a huge number of white looking people today descend from Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, from Israelites, right? We go into the history of the Dark Ages where they were mixing during the Renaissance period. There's information on that. There's many icons. There's an icon of an English professor, right? Of an English professor. I think it was an English professor. If not English, I think he might have been a duke. He was an English duke, and he had a white woman as a wife, and his child, right, probably came out looking from both parents. So that's just to say, during the Renaissance period, there was a lot of integrations and assimilation, because when the bubonic plague hit, it wiped off 2/3 of the European population. All right. So when you get that number, 2/3, right, you had the Wildmen, right? The Wildmen, they came in and started coming up in society because there was open spots, vacancies left open for these people, okay, to come in. And the Wildmen are the Edomites. So go ahead and read Job, the 30th chapter. Okay, you read that chapter and you understand who the Edomites are. Okay, the Idumeans. They were the Wildmen that were roaming around in Europe and in those places of like the forested areas. You know, you watch Game of Thrones, you hear about the Wildings. Okay, that's how they were living. They were out there in the uh, in the remote areas of the country. Okay, so during the Renaissance period, they came in and started picking themselves up. So, you know, that's not to say that you might not be an Israelite, but you should not be afraid because of that. You know, the truth. In fact, let me get this precept. The reason why these Christians are afraid is because the more they listen, the more it makes sense. Okay, the more they listen, the more it makes sense about what this ministry is about. I had it here in a private. I don't know why it keeps going to the public. This is let's go to 2nd Esdras, the 6th chapter, and I'm gonna start at verse. Verse 27 says, "For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which has been so long without fruit, shall be declared." So Christians are afraid of this because this fruit that's being declared is not, it's irksome to some fellows. And when you look up the word irksome, annoying, irritating, or tiresome. It describes a task, event, or situation that causes boredom, weariness, or mild anger through repetition or tedium. And it's even irksome to our people, okay? Because our people are hearing it over and over and over and over again until the Lord said, okay, I have had enough. I've had enough. No more. And that's when he withdraws the prophets from off the streets, okay? But before then, this truth is going to be pushed out, and it's going to be irksome to some fellows out there, right? To some Christians out there. Why? Because this truth is designed to be that way. There was a statement I was going to get, right? Let's go back to this thing. So he said he's been watching a lot of debates and it's been damaging his faith. Why? Because Let's see. Let's get this real quick. What's that precept I'm looking for? Strongholds. Maybe type in strongholds, see what comes up. Yes, 2 Corinthians 10, verse 4. It says, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Yahweh to the pulling down of strongholds." So the strongholds are the lies, right? I think that's in Isaiah. It talks about casting down the imaginations, right? The covering cast of all people. But breaking that barrier of lies, and it makes people uncomfortable, right? It makes people uncomfortable because they know as the guy said, I know it's lies, but what if it's the truth? It's scary. It gives you that feeling because number one, you're an Israelite, all right, and number two, it's because your mind, right? After Scripture says in Romans, let every man esteem the day as his like. One day the Lord might just grab you up, and you come into the fold. But He uses these controversial clickbaiters, right? Controversial clickbaiters to grab the attention of the people. Okay, grabbing the attention of the people, and He holds your attention like that. Okay, and with that, he slowly reels you in. It's like you going fishing. Now, let me not use fishing. It's like you throw a rope, right? It has a food attached to it. You throw a rope inside a lion's den, and the lion then is creeping on it, right? And he grabs it, and you pull the rope, and the lion is coming with the food as well, and he doesn't know what's going on. So that's how the truth is. Tawali Abash shot. Let me get this scripture real quick. Fuck. The sea is the I forgot how it's called. It's in Matthew 13. It's in Matthew 13. The sea. We type in fishes. See what comes up. Yeah, there we go. Matthew 13. Let me jump down. Yep. Again, the kingdom, verse 47. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a net that was cast into the sea and gathered of every kind. So, the Lord threw the net, right? In the form of the prophets, right? Great was the company of those that published the word of Yahweh Shema Shah. He threw the net, okay? And the net was cast into the world over through the internet, through the unicorn, right? Through the ends of the earth. So he pushed the unicorn, okay? So, the net was cast through the word, right? Not that. The net was cast through the internet, the satellites, all right? And that was cast to the sea and gathered of every kind. So you had some fish that were salmon, that were bass, right? I think it's called bass. Some were croakers, some were other fishes, right? Tilapias and other types of fishes, and some were probably catfishes, unlawful foods that we can't eat. So what are those unlawful fishes? They are those. Hold on. Which, when it was full, they drew to shore and sat down, right, and gathered the good into vessels. So they gathered the salmon, the stuff that was edible, to sell on the market, but cast the bad away. So they threw out the catfish, right, the eels, all those nasty fishes that they're not evil, right? But it's just not lawful to eat. So they threw them out for they threw them out back into the sea so they can do their job. All right. But cast the bad away. So shall it be at the end of the world, right? The angel shall come forth and sever the wicked from among the just. So my man, the sea, the net has been cast, and the sea, right, are the representing the people. Okay, and you knowing about this, watching a lot of the debates, it's good and all, but it's not going to do you any good. If you really want to get edified, get fed, come into the truth with an open mind. Let's get the scripture. Romans 10. I quoted it earlier. Let every man be persuaded. This is Romans 14, verse 5. It says, one man esteemeth one day above another, another esteemeth every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. Okay? So come into the truth with an open mind. And, it's already damaging his faith. He can't do nothing. As the scripture says, let me get that precept. Why does it keep going back to that? Let me go to a Second Corinthians. I think it's 2 Corinthians. Yeah, 2 Corinthians 10, verse 4. Verse 5, casting down imaginations. So the imaginations are being cast down, right? And it's damaging to your faith. Okay? Why? Because the Lord, he's stripping you of that old garment. That old garment is being stripped away. Okay, that old garment, the old things that you had is being torn away. He says, part of me knows they're full of lies, but part of me is scared because that there's some truth to it. You're split down in the middle. All right? And really, what he's afraid about is that salvation is not open to everybody. And that's what gets people tripped up. But once you tackle that, as you say, the hard things, and this dude might be Matthew 13, right? Oh, Matthew 13, where it talks about the seed was on a stony ground, but the things of this world choked the seed up and made it unfruitful. You might be likened to that parable. Okay, I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to quote it here. Let's see, where is it? Matthew 13. Yeah. There you go. Verse 21. Verse 20. But he that received the seed into stony places, the same as he that heareth the word, and none with joy receiveth it, right? Because he's scared of some aspects of the truth. That's what I perceive. Yet has he not root in himself, but there for a while, for when tribulation or persecution ariseth because of the word, by and by he is offended. So if you're able to not be offended by this thing, still continue down that path. Don't be afraid to tackle those harsher topics concerning the ministry, because those harsher topics are what's going to build up your faith the most. And that's what I've realized too, as well, in my aspect, in my walk. The topics that are harder to discuss are the ones that really amplify your belief in this thing, and it builds it up, and the foundation gets solidified, right? It's like you building a house. You lay down the tiles of the floor. You got to put the base, the foundation. Whether it be of stone or any type of masonry work. Okay. So he goes back to says, it's been damaging to my faith. Part of me knows it's full of lies, but part of me is scared that there's some truth in it, that I can't be saved because my father is white. So again, the whole racial thing, like I said, you have Israelites in different pockets of the world, and the reason why you don't know that is because you're learning from wrong teachers. And that's not to knock what those men are doing, right? What they're engaged in debates and whatnot. But when you take off the filters of the black Hebrew Israelites and you just put an HI, Hebrew Israelites, it becomes a whole different thing, a whole different ballgame. You enter into a different arena, and the arena starts to guide you and teach you on what it's about, all right? You start to learn and pick things up and put the pieces to the puzzle together until you get that light bulb and say, oh, I got it. It fully makes sense. So yeah, all right? So don't get tripped up on this color thing. We never, ever claim that title. That's a title that is just plastered upon us by people looking from the outside within. It's like people watching a house party. We're having a party, we're having a feast, and people are watching through the window, but they can't really see because the window is fogging up. Okay, and they're commenting on what we're doing. They're having a commentation, right? They're commenting on what you're doing, but they can't really see. They might say, oh, this guy is dancing. He took a right, but really he took a left. So that's what's going on. So if you really want to know what this thing is about, you got to step into the correct arena and come to the teachers, mainly the men of Great Millstone, and learn from them. So with that, I'm going to give all praise and honors and glories due to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem B'Kakadash, give them honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. Wild peace, blessings.